and welcome to Lift as We Rise webinar. Today, you are listening to our brand new Future Thrive SME series. In Future Thrive, we speak to local businesses to promote buy local in the new normal, and we also influence the integration of the Sustainable Development Goals into business strategies. So wherever you are in the world today, thank you for joining us. Like or share this video to ensure that our featured SMEs get the visibility that they need in South Africa and beyond. Remember that it could be your SME that we feature next. So if you'd like more information on that, go to www.stratastute.co.za or go to our StratConnect channel, link subscribe, and then you can find out how you could be featured. Today, we are talking fast food and agile takeaways in Port Elizabeth, a coastal gem in South Africa known for friendly people and more recently for its mushrooming and diverse food culture. I have the pleasure of introducing you to Nelson Gajjar, owner of Sizzlers Fast Food, an outlet known for its tender and tasty ribs and irresistible chips or French fries. And also we have Jaco Rousseau, who's the owner of Ziggy's Rock and Reggae Bar, a seaside beach bar with good music, good food, and good vibrations. Gents, I can't think of a better description to set the scene for our Sunday sundowner conversation. So Nayad and Jaco, a warm welcome to you, and thank you for taking your time out on a Sunday to come and talk about your businesses today.
Thank you.
Great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Roshni. Great to be here.
So, gents, this is the first weekend back at the beaches and the booze ban lifted for South Africans. Did you have a chance to dip your toes into the ocean yet?
Not a very beachy person, I must be honest. But yeah, looking forward to visiting Jaco's establishment very soon.
Jaco, how about yourself?
Yeah, this weekend was all about work. It's fully booked Saturdays from early 1 o'clock. So great to be in a situation to be actually tell customers, wait a little bit, we'll see you a bit later. And definitely, I think during the week, we'll have plans on going to the beach. Weekends is work.
Yeah, you know, we're mindful about the risks of COVID-19 and the need for social distancing. But when I went down to the beach this week, it was just so amazing to see people so joyful to be back on the sand and spending time with friends in the ocean. And I was glad to see that people are observing protocol and wearing their masks most of the time. So guys, let's get straight into it. Entrepreneurship is a calling for some, and for some, they come across entrepreneurship by a synchronistic accident. So share with us your business journey, what led you to the QSR and to the pub space. Let's start with Jaco.
Yeah, mine is very interesting. Back in 2008, I actually started at the Island restaurant as a barman. After 2 tough years in the estate agency business and like really big debts on my shoulders, went back as a barman, a trade I know. I've been a barman since 1998, and in the hospitality industry for 6 years in holiday flats. So we rented out holiday flats. We had 78 holiday flats we rented out. I worked for the guy and got back into barman. I remember my mom was like really concerned, like how can you sell houses to a guy one day and the next day you're serving him a drink as a barman? And I just like, I need money, I need to work, I need to make a living, that's it. And yeah, 4 years later, 4 or 5 years, I managed the island. I left, I managed another Mexican restaurant in town as well and a bit of time in nightclub vibes. And 2013 opportunity came to buy the island, but also after quite a few 90-hour weeks. And so the island, we ran that for a year, tried to revive it, and then realized that that business model is for summer only. So that's where we got to the Ziggy's Rock and Reggae Bar, change up and get customers in all year, not just summertime.
Wow, so Jaco, been in the industry for some many years now. It's obviously a passion that you have that's now turned into a business for you. For those who are not in Port Elizabeth or haven't visited our city yet, can you tell them a little bit about the history of the island and also the name Ziggy's, and more or less where the location is relative to our city?
So Ziggy is very much like its predecessor, the island. There's a beach bar. We're right in Cape Recife Nature Reserve, Fine Lodge Resort. So if you're on our deck, you're as close to the beach as you can get. Very unique. You're just outside of town. So it feels like you're actually on a holiday. You're leaving Port Elizabeth, but you're only like 2 minutes drive out of town. So you feel like you're in the bush. You're right in nature. We nestled in the Cape Recife Nature Reserve. We've got fig trees, you've got monkey visitors, we got some nice wildlife coming to visit us regularly. And it's purely a wooden deck, wooden restaurant where you can relax and just offload all that stress of the week.
Fantastic. Nayan, how about your business journey and what led you to Sizzlers?
My journey to Sizzlers was actually quite a strange story. I've got a very big background in retail and cellular. And when I was in KZN for many years, and then I decided to come back. And then I've got two very good friends of mine who were in the takeaway industry. They actually started Sizzlers in 2010. And they encouraged me to start doing curry and supplying them and selling to them. And also they encouraged me to start learning their business and starting to get to know how the takeaway industry works, because they saw that I've got a bit of a talent and a bit of a gift of the gab that I can bring sales in and that kind of stuff. And I started working, helping, training, learning. And yeah, in 2016, they offered me the premises because they moved on to greener pastures, as they call it now. And I took over, and that's how my journey in the food industry started. And I've been going since. And I think the hardest part for me was I took the business over at a very difficult stage in the economy. The economy was actually on a downward spiral, but we survived, and I've made the business grow in many ways. And I wouldn't change this for anything else. I wouldn't want to do anything else. I absolutely love it and enjoy it, especially meeting people and chatting all day. And the challenges actually make you stronger. And it's not for everybody. That I can tell you now. From the outside, it looks like everything is so smooth and everything so easy. But the work in the background is hard. It's tough. That's why I don't work on a Sunday. I need a break.
Yeah, Yaku doesn't have that luxury just yet. Yaku, you still at Ziggy's today, are you?
At the moment, I'm at Ziggy's Old School, one of our Newton Park branch, which we opened in lockdown. Believe it or not, one of those lucky times when people close restaurants. So yeah, I'm sitting in the entertainment area, nice little quiet spot where you can bring guests, up to 15, 20 guests, and be on your own, completely secluded, and not have to adhere to all social distancing.
So that new extension to your business, which is in another area of Port Elizabeth, did that happen in 2020? Did I hear you correctly?
Yes, so Ziggy's Old School, we were supposed to open up on the 1st of April. So a week before we opened up, we had a lockdown scare. So obviously a lot of stress stations that time, but we just said, let's take a break. It was actually nice to that first 2 weeks of lockdown to actually have a holiday. In this industry, you don't get that often. But it also gave us a lot of time to think and to adapt our business models. And we also, in lockdown, about May month, I think, they said there's only takeaways. Then Ziggy's Old School were the perfect spot for that. So Newton Park, way more centrally located than Ziggy's R&R. And from there, we can send out wood-fired pizzas and traditionally made fed cooks. And it's closer to all the other areas in Port Elizabeth.
Wow, so that's testament of the fact that entrepreneurs need a healthy risk appetite, as Nayan was saying. It is not for everybody. And that certainly took courage. Because South Africa, remember, went into hard lockdown around the 26th of March 2020. And your new business came into play on the 1st of April. So certainly a challenging 1st April for you. Guys, it takes tremendous focus and also a healthy dose of passion to build the type of brands that you have in Sizzlers and Ziggies. And the city that we're in, or the province we're in, that being the Eastern Cape, discretionary spend has always been a challenge, and that trend has historically been low, even before the 2020 consequences. Obviously did some research on your businesses, and the Google ratings show, Yaku, that Ziggy's has a 4.3 rating, Nayan Sizzlers a 4.4 rating, and consistently the aspects of friendly service, delicious quality food, and value for money pricing, those were the comments that came across. What makes your businesses unique? And how did you build such a loyal following of patrons? Let's start with Nayan.
I think the biggest thing is consistency. And that is very important. Like that I learned from the guys that I took the business over from. And also, it's very easy to be the cheapest, but not necessarily to have good quality. And for those two things to come together, it's a very difficult balance to find. Also, when you're sourcing your products, you're buying quality, you're not buying products that are of lower grade, etc. Your potatoes, your oil, and obviously building a relationship with your client. That's very important. Know who they are. Make sure that when they come in, you've got a personal touch, recognize their voice, recognize their cell phone number, remember what car they drive. Those kind of things in my field really helps, because it makes them feel like they're at home. It's a meal away. How can I say? It's a meal at home away from home. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're buying from your home in any case. And I think that's led to a lot of positive comments out there. And when we get people from out of town coming, they really think that they don't understand how we can be so cheap, because they come from Cape Town and Joburg and that kind of places where things are a lot more expensive. And word of mouth. I mean, word of mouth is a fantastic tool, and it's really working. Despite the times being as difficult as they are, we've received a lot of new customers. And also, I learned that Facebook actually does help. Yaku did speak to me about it when I started, and I was very hesitant. But yeah, Yaku has been a bit of a support because of his experience, and obviously my friends have been a lot of support. And then, like I said, just be yourself, enjoy it, and make sure that every product that goes out is 100%. And your staff is very important. Like for example, my staff guys, if one bad comment comes in, they take it personally because they feel it's their own business. And that's the kind of spirit that we've got running in the shop, which is awesome.
Wow, so it seems like the people working in your business are certainly part of the brand building experience. So before we get to Yaku, let me read some comments that came across on your review. So Werner Grobler said, after all the years, the quality has stayed top class at Sizzlers. Well done, guys. Always look forward to supporting you when we get to Port Elizabeth. Greg Randall said, best ribs in town, top class service. I highly recommend Sizzlers. Tando Nakani tried the surf at Sizzlers and said the fresh fish with abundance of flavor. And Lauren LaRue, lovely experience. The staff was so friendly and the food is great. Sizzlers is truly a must. So Nayan, well done to you and to your Sizzlers team. Yaku, how about yourself and Ziggy's?
A lot of the points that Nayan said is definitely true and also applies to us. Staff, your team is crucial. I mean, we've always been known to have a really strong staff team at Ziggy's. We've back in the island even, where all the patrons know the staff, they know the managers, they know the owner. spending a lot of time at your restaurant makes it special. That's when you have that personal connection with customers. And when you're not there, you need to make sure the staff can handle and they can run the business. I had a business partner, managing partner at Ziggy's, Ryan Hutton, and I mean, when I wasn't there, he ran the business, and now opening up the second shop, he just upped the game, and he's a bigger partner there, and he's operational manager or operational partner at the site. And it's also just to relieve you, and you know you have to have a person that can run the place, but you also need to have the right waiters, the right managers, the right kitchen staff. And I think like at Ziggy's, we've got a lady that started working at the original restaurant when it was tapas back in '95. And she's still a chef in our kitchen. She's still there. So, I mean, that experience you can never replace with anybody. That you can never take away. And then also quality, you make sure you got constant quality. One of my favorite sayings is, you shouldn't sell the best steak in the world today, because then tomorrow the guy's going to have a worse he's going to expect the best steak. And you can only have the best steak once in your life. So tomorrow your standards drop that little bit. So if you have a great steak every day for a long time, or great fish, that's sustainable. That will get customers to come back.
Guys, well done. I mean, it takes a lot to sustain the strength of consistent quality foods. And let me read some comments that came out of around Ziggy's. Wesley Bond says, an old favorite spot on a good sunny day. Nice outdoor seating area that looks out onto the ocean. Staff have always been friendly and helpful, known for good sangria, along with many other options. Renee Hicks had a meal at Ziggy's and she said, I was so surprised that a reggae bar could have such an amazing cuisine. Absolutely delicious. The service was great and the views, wow. Tandokazi Makopeni said, totally amazing vibe, just a few feet away from the beach, and could enjoy any alfresco meal if the weather permits. Great place for groups to meet, especially during the evenings with live karaoke and music. So guys, I mean, this is from then unto 2019 and early 2020. And then lockdown happened. It had a significant impact on the restaurant industry as a whole. Just this week, restaurant consultancy Mike said that there are an estimated 30,000 eating establishments across South Africa that provide direct and indirect employment to about 1 million people. Celebrity chef and restaurant owner Ruben Riefel, who's well known globally, says that the reality is that the damage has already been done, adding that we are all scrambling to keep our heads above water. And someone as well seasoned as Ruben had to close his Santon restaurant. So your industry also lost out, Jaco and Nayan, on the peak season in December. The 9 p.m. curfews, booze ban, beach bans, they were only lifted this week, right? Talk to us through lockdown. How did lockdown impact your businesses? And what key decisions did you have to make to survive, including adapting to the COVID-19 regulations? Nayan, should we start with you?
Yeah, lockdown, the first good thing about the lockdown gave us a month to do nothing and just relax. I think that was well deserved. Unplanned, but well deserved. Basically, what we had to do, we went back in May, but we could only deliver through Mr. Delivery. And obviously, once your customers and your patrons saw you that you were open, they wanted food. They wanted to eat your food. They didn't want to wait until the next level, or they didn't want to buy from Mr. Delivery. They wanted to buy from you because they trusted you and they knew you. So we had to basically think out of the box and adapt. We had to restructure the entire store. We put all the tables and chairs away. We brought the counter forward. So as soon as you walked in, you can order your meal and you can walk out, and you don't have to sit and wait inside the store. And we delivered to your vehicle for you. And then we went a step further where we allowed the customer to phone in. And when the customer got outside with his vehicle, we delivered to the car with a card machine to eliminate completely jumping out of your vehicle and coming to collect. inside the shop. We had to do sanitizing stations. That was a compulsory. That was an additional cost. We had to put up screens between you and your customer. And obviously the staff was very important because they live obviously in areas where there's a lot of people and obviously come from a poorer background. So when they use taxis and that kind of stuff, they also had to be very responsible from their side. So I must give my staff compliment and kudos that we haven't had any issues, touch granite. And those are the kind of things that we had to do. And from a personal point of view, it was tough in that you didn't know what was going to happen tomorrow. You weren't sure. And then the prices of food went up, potatoes, meat, everything just started skyrocketing, and your cash flow was kind of limited. The first 2 weeks of when we got back was very busy. We were doing well. And then as the money ran out, there was a steep decline in sales, especially through levels 3 and 4, 3 and 2. So yeah, we had to really adapt it. And the inspectors came to check on you, and they were consistently there, the police, and making sure that we were following protocol. But the most important thing, I think, I must say thank you to our customers, that they were so adaptable. Nobody ever complained. They just fell into place and they just adapted to the situation. As hard as it was for us, they made it a bit easier for us as well. So thanks to them, if anyone of them are around. It's been a big learning curve, and I think the future looks bright. I've managed to secure new customers in these bad times. So I'm just waiting for the economy to turn, and hopefully we'll be sitting in the box seats and we can grow even bigger and better. Thank you.
Thanks, Nain. We'll get into, what's on the horizon a little bit later. Yaku, how about yourself? What did 2020 mean to you and the extension to Ziggy's?
So the extension, Ziggy's Old School, has definitely helped a lot. I mean, where we wanted to open a little Newton Park pub or a little eatery where people can have great food closer to home. That actually helped to do deliveries from. So wood-fired pizzas, Fed Cooker from Old School was obviously the first on cards when we reopened with deliveries only. And there was time that I personally delivered all the food. Ron, my business partner, was operating the kitchen and orders. And we had two waiters. One of our two, we gave them the options who wanted to come and help. And we had waiters going, and a lot of clientele actually loved the fact where a waiter that they used to see at Ziggy's suddenly delivering food to them, and they still have that interaction, like, hey, I know you, how are you doing? How's it going? So that helped a lot. Curbside deliveries at Old School was great. So obviously from Summerstrand, it's a lot more difficult to do deliveries from that side because your market is a bit smaller. It's just Summerstrand and Humidity, maybe Southend. So Newton Park for that first time was the one that kept us going and survived us. And when we reopened to restrictions and sit-down meals with restrictions, there was a bit of adaptation, but I mean, we've always used hospital-grade sanitizer. So a lot of people think like, oh, your sanitizer bill just went skyrocketed. It's like 80% of restaurants are using that sanitizer in any case. When people leave a table, you're sanitizing it in any case. And we've always used a top grade product. And like a lot of, remember my supplier, he said so many restaurants phoned him and say, what sanitizer must I use? Like read on your thing. It's hospital grade. It's the one you're supposed to use. You're already using it for 5 years. And just obviously hand sanitizer and social distancing was the issue. Just moving your tables a little bit further apart and spending extra money on actual hand sanitizers at the doors when people had to, like, no table service, only table service. But I mean, from there, I think we're lucky that we had a big sit-down meal clientele, which guys still come. I think we're still missing a lot of families. You've seen a lot of families with young kids, they don't want to come out. But people are generally at the moment, they just want to be out and they need to socialize and de-stress. So that's definitely helped a lot now.
Thanks, Nain and Yaku. So, I mean, it was from Nain, what I'm picking up is it was an opportunity to actually review your business and perhaps sharpen your pencil on optimizing efficiencies and perhaps re-looking at your business model, given that lockdown has changed a couple of things around spending power, around what's permitted and not in terms of legislation, and also people's preference in terms of health and safety. I want to bring our live audience into the conversation now. So welcome to Denise Hutton, Quinton Nordia, Alex Fraser, Cindy Rousseau, Etienne Vogel, Jason Bailey, Kelsey Campbell, Cindy Warrington, Devin Harrison. Great to have you with us. And Alex Fraser is asking, how do you guys make sure the costs and wastage are kept under control? Are staff fully understanding of efficiencies and keeping costs in check? Nayed?
That's a tough one, but I must admit, in my restaurant, I don't have a lot of wastage from my staff point of view. The guys I must say that they work under strict. We basically weigh everything. We use certain amount of measurements in place, and we kind of try and minimize those kind of wastage. And if we do have anything left, there's always beggars who are keen to take what we have left over, and we just give it to them. The way to minimize it is obviously to have strict stock controls. Do the stock takes in the morning. Make sure the stock is checked. Make sure the stuff is cooked properly, and your staff plays a big role in there. So if your staff have a don't care attitude, naturally your wastage is going to increase. But if you have your finger on the pulse and you working with them all the time, you don't have a lot of wastage. I don't know if that answers his question, but yeah. Yaku?
Yeah, what I've also found is a lot of staff, they're aware that the situation of a lot of restaurants closing, millions of people losing their jobs. So they're also very appreciative that we still have staff running full shifts. We have staff that actually, I didn't have to lay off any staff. We moved 2 of our staff members to Ziggy's Old School, which helped a lot, and as well as 2 of the waiters. So the kitchen staff, and that where we would have needed 2 staff less, we actually just moved into the new shop. And our staff is still working their full hours. And there was obviously a period that we had to look at shift rosters and that. But the staff really understand that it's tough out there. There's a lot of restaurants struggling. There's folks talking about 70%, 80% down in turnovers. And when you have that, you have to implement it over staff and overheads. You need to get your rentals down, which we're in a lucky situation. Our staff still earn their very similar wages than before, and they're in their living and they're looking after us. I mean, the staff has always been great, and they also understand the business model where percentage needs to go to food costing. I'll show them the food costing is the kitchen staff, and they know exactly this is how much you have to spend on food, wages, overheads. So they got a breakdown. They understand that very well. Price increases is a big problem for us at the moment. That is, I mean, early on we were talking about oil prices spiking almost 25-30%. So when you got 30% increase in prices, how do you put your food prices up 30%? How do you get? And obviously, waiting for the budget speeches to come up, we're expecting a lot more of increases. And so, but that will take on as we get it.
Thanks, Yaku. And that's an absolute issue in your businesses. I mean, given the economic situation, price sensitivity is probably a real risk. And if you guys are facing price increases from your suppliers, Nayan, you were sharing some statistics early on the price of oil, for example. How confident are you that those prices can be passed on to your customers? And if not, then how does that impact your margins, Nayan?
Well, quite frankly, you can't pass it really onto your customer, because then your customers aren't going to come back. So you have to somehow either negotiate better pricing. That's number one. Number two, what I find works is I try to sell add-ons. that can cover your costs on other things. Because at the end of the day, the customer doesn't have much money to spend. And if you're going to be putting your prices up to levels they can't afford, they're not going to support you. It's difficult to find that balance between being too expensive and then obviously being too cheap and then making a profit and making a loss. For example, I think the prices will start stabilizing. They will start coming down. So we're hoping that we'll start seeing some price decreases instead of increases. Like the potatoes have kind of flattened out, but some of the stuff still remains high. So it's very difficult, but we try to maintain it. I just want to add something that Yaku said earlier about staff. Um, my philosophy with my staff is that they're part of my family. They're like family to me, and I see them more than I see my friends and my family. So if they're happy, I'm happy. If I look after them, they look after me. It's actually a very simple principle. And I think coming from a workplace and knowing, always complaining about how much I got paid, I make sure my guys are looked after. So when they need a little loan or they need a bit of an increase, I try to help them where I can.
Thank you, Nain. Yeah, certainly in the strategy work we do, we advocate the integration between purpose, performance, people, and profits. And most certainly, right now, where we are, people are at the heart of businesses and of the economy. So we can avoid job losses and short time, etc. That certainly is what we need to aim for. At the end of the day, though, the books need to balance, and the cash inflow needs to pay for those expenses. Yaku, let's hear your thoughts on the kind of bottom line challenges from COVID.
Yes, so obviously the big challenge is you got the two choices of putting your prices up or taking a cut in your GP. Trying to get the middle way is obviously difficult. We're lucky on both buildings that we had great landlords that assisted us during lockdown with doing percentage deals on turnover for rentals, things like that. So that helped a lot. But you still have other overheads like your telephones, your alarms. And those actually, it's like after lockdown, I think I had like a 6,500 rand telephone bill. We were closed for 4 months. And it's just those things you just have to take and pay. There's losses you take, but then also now with price increases, it's like no customer really understands. Your guest needs to know that if you're paying 100 rand now, they're expecting a 10% increase next year, per year, maybe an 8 to 10% increase. And your pricing goes up on a 30% scale. You like, where do you meet them halfway? Now you're going 12% up, and your GPs, you need to find exactly where you can save. You can't save too much on staff wages because then you're going to sacrifice your service. You can't. Landlords also need to survive. They can't just drop rentals. They got bonds to pay. They have overheads. So it's a really fine line between, yes, there's a 12% increase there. We're going to cut the cost there, and it won't make a difference. But I think also just upping your clientele, having more clients, making sure your seats are full, and customers leave happy. You always survive this.
Yeah, exactly. And two ways gross margins can be assisted, right? That's through looking after your costs and trying to keep them as low as possible, which in your case is a little bit difficult at the moment on the procurement side. And also then the second part is increasing your sales and your feet through the proverbial door. So it is important that we support our SMEs to enable this so that they can in turn help sustain their ecosystem. So Denise Hutting, I absolutely agree with your sentiment. Denise is saying, I would just like to congratulate both Yaku and Nayan and their dedicated staff on being so dedicated. It's been difficult, but you have stood strong. Proud of you all. And from Cindy Rousseau, well done to Yako and his team. And I'd like to add also to Nayan and his team at Sizzlers. So guys, looking forward, the uncertainty around COVID-19 is still here with or without vaccines. The health and safety risks prevail, but also there's going to be a continuing squeeze on discretionary spend, which includes going to restaurants and buying takeout. So what are the emerging trends that you see from your perspectives? And how do you think this is going to need some adaptation and pivoting of your business model to remain relevant for good customer service and quality food that you're already known for? Nayan?
Well, we've definitely noticed the customer is a lot more aware of hygiene now, which was never the case before. Before they just come in and take their stuff and they'll go. And like they'll notice if you're not wearing your mask. They'll notice if someone's not, there's no, the sanitizer's finished and that kind of stuff. But from another point of view, I've noticed that the guys are a lot more thrifty with their spending. They're not just buying like before. They just come in and buy 4 kilos, 3 kilos. Now they're looking through the menu with a fine tooth and checking, hey, where can I save? Where can I find it cheaper? And it's difficult for us to to once again find that balance. And I think with good customer service, you will obviously still sustain. And doing things like sending your customer a thank you message after on one of these platforms, saying thank you for your support, sending them specials throughout the week on WhatsApp, making that a little bit of extra effort to let them know what you got on special. Show them that you have got deals that are lucrative. If they ask any questions, make sure you answer them honestly. And once again, consistency. Because if they're going to have a good experience with that little money that they spent or that they're going to go and tell someone. And I found that, I mean, this week alone, just to give you an example, we had a guy from a very prominent business in PE came there, bought a small meal, and he came back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and again yesterday. It just shows that if your stuff is good and the guys will spend. And I, sent him a message, say thank you for your support, we appreciate it. And he's now a loyal customer. These are the kind of things you need to do to sustain. If you're going to think that you're just going to sit back and wait for the customer to walk in, I think you need to relook at your strategy.
Nayan,
You have
talk
to
to us
be.
briefly, before we get to Yaku, talk to us briefly about your pivot or your diversification into the using aggregators as a means to get the food to your customer over lockdown. Did that make a significant difference to how you were able to operate?
I think the Mr. Delivery played a very important role in my business. We didn't have that. We've only started having them just before lockdown started. I don't know. My gut told me just to do it. I just had something told me that this is going to be very important. And although they're very expensive, although they cost quite a bit, they did bring a lot of new customers, as well as assisted my regular customers in not coming to the shop. And also the innovativeness of doing the curb deliveries. I think that was a good pivot because it made the guy who drove past, you could phone in, place an order, and it made it different. The customer felt like, you know what, this guy actually cares about us. He came out, I took the machine, and they could swipe. They didn't have to come into the shop. We provided a sanitizer, and we made something happen that we didn't think was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to work, but it worked out very well. And I think that's the new future now. Curbside delivery is going to be the way forward. The customers prefer, actually, I think, to wait in the car, listen to music, and chat to their wife or their kids. Maybe you don't even get time to do that at home these days. So maybe there's a lot of advantages to do that. Only when it's like yesterday was very hot, customers complained sitting in the car, they were baking a bit. So yeah, there are challenges coming ahead, but I think those innovative ideas did work, and I think that's what made us pull through this tough period. And I think there's tough times still laying ahead, but I'm sure we'll survive.
Thanks, Nayan. Yaku, how about yourself? What's on the horizon for Ziggy's and Old School in the next 12 to 18 months?
Obviously, with sit-down restaurants, the immediate struggles we have is obviously customers, when they wear masks, the sit-down meals, you're allowed to take your mask off at a table. And when you sit down, you take your mask off. When you want to start moving around, it's very easy to forget it. So that's immediate, obviously, struggle that we have. The customers immediately like, you're just repeating that, like, keep your mask on, keep your mask on, keep your mask on. So that is an easy problem to solve. That was obviously just making sure all the waiters, all the staff knows that you constantly go with it. Obviously, when the table's there, you sanitize it, you clean it. For us, we're focusing obviously on old school. We've built a lot of extra sit-down meals there, customers that side. We've focused that we've got the entertainment room there for if you need to be private. Ziggy's beachfront. Definitely, if you want to be close to the beach, you bring your kids down. Same thing. We just sanitize the tables. We keep you safe and distance. I think the future, we're definitely going to sit with social distancing for quite a few years to come. I mean, the coronavirus is definitely not going to disappear within a short time. We're definitely going to be there. We definitely make sure we sanitize. We make sure we keep customers safe. And obviously, luckily, we got a big outside seating area that side. You can have 100 plus seats outside and customers are not on top of each other, which helps us a lot. So there we didn't have to adapt our business model too much. But change is good. As we've seen in the beginning, I mean, I was part of the regional island, and Island was an institution, and we always, when we started, we changed the name, we were like, how do you change the institution? How do you, but it was all focused on Summit. So every business, you have to adapt every 5-6 years. You have to adapt a little bit. And I think COVID's taught us that. Like, adapt a little bit. Make sure you got your takeaway menus ready. Make sure you got curbside delivery. And make sure you keep your customers safe.
Well done, gents, on really finding the opportunities in what was and still is a crisis. I'd like to hear from our live listeners of what you'd like to see in the next 12 to 18 months in the QSR and restaurant industry, just for interest. So we've spoken quite a lot about, the industry, your businesses, and how you manage the day-to-day efficiencies. Let's turn the attention to yourselves now. Nayan, you made an interesting comment that you see more of your employees and your team than you do your family and your friends. So the restaurant industry, QSRs, are tremendously demanding, and you have both chosen a journey of passion that requires a tremendous amount of your time and focus. Tell us a little bit about how do you manage to work 6 or 7 day weeks, keep yourselves motivated, and also keep your teams energized. Nayan?
I think from my personal point of view, it's all about passion. And when you love what you're doing, it's a privilege to wake up and go to work and to meet new people and to face the challenges of the day. Not everybody likes challenges. People kind of shy away from it. I like to take them head on. And every time you conquer a challenge, you feel success. From the staff point of view, like I said earlier, if you look after them, they're going to look after you. They need to be the brand. For example, when they're walking in the street, when someone asks, where do you work? They must be proud to say that they work at Sizzler. They mustn't think, they don't treat me well there. And all those things affect their mindset. So if they got a positive mindset and they feel and you look after them, they're gonna go out there and they're gonna live the brand. They're gonna go to the people and say, hey, I work at Sizzlers, I'm proud. Or I work at Ziggy's, I'm proud to work there. So it all boils down to those things, and those things drive you. Yes, if you have a bad day, like any person does or any business does. And the main thing for me is I don't like working for a boss. I never did like it. And I now understand how difficult it was to be the boss or the captain of the ship. As I say, I don't call myself a boss. I told my staff that whenever they call me the boss, I always say, guys, remember, I'm not the boss. I'm the captain of the ship, and you guys are my sailors. Without you, I can't go anywhere. So together we'll make it work. And I think that's the secret. I just look after your people and look after your customers. Because without customers, you got no business. And I'm a very firm believer in, if you're not in your business, you don't have a business. So that's why I love spending time there. It's a passion. I just love being there.
Thanks, Day. And Yaku, how about yourself? You've been in it since your bartendering days, and you're still in it.
I think obviously hospitality industry is definitely a calling. It's like when you're in it, you've got a certain type of person that's so passionate about it and you love it. And that's usually the guys that you can see, all the guys that's like, there's a few restaurant owners that stay at restaurants for 27, 30, 40 years. Those oaks are all passionate. It's not just taking a bit of retirement money and opening a restaurant. You need to know that your family needs to be strong behind you. They need to understand that you're doing hours. I mean, there was a period Ryan, my business partner, myself, were doing 90 hours a week. And when people are talking about 10 hours is overtime, it's like, no, 18 hours is a long shift. You don't do 12 hours isn't a long shift. So by that, you're building towards a goal. And as soon as you've got a strong team and you've got people to rely on, you can make that time for your family and your friends. I mean, it does take a big toll when you've got kids. Weekends, you have to be around the business. But somehow you have to get that off time where you actually take a weekend, go spend time with them. Also for your sanity, where you can't just put the business up front, but then you need a strong team to run it. And luckily, we got that. Obviously, with the pandemic, we had to step back and it's like, okay, let's step in again and let's go for a bit more hours. And then when it all plays out well again, then you spend more time with the family at different times, weekdays, and you could take kids in a Thursday afternoon where I say normal people don't understand the restaurant industry because I don't think we're all normal. We're a special breed. So obviously you have to love it. You have to love your customers, and you have to love that interaction. And that's what makes a big difference between restaurant owners and other business owners. It's like just spend. I think all business owners love their customers, but just spending weekends and Saturdays, Sundays, and missing your family, but you with your other family. Thanks.
Yeah, it's evident you and Nayan are people's people, and that's what makes your customer experience so enjoyable. Of course, right now, many people are working from home, and for professional services people particularly, work from home is a new thing. In your innovation and adaptation strategies, are you considering servicing the work from home market? And here I also bring in a cohort like students, Yaku, who are a large part of the Port Elizabeth economy. Nayan, do you want to give us a take on work from home and that as a market in itself?
Well, I've definitely noticed, especially on the Mr. Delivery side, not so much in store, that you can see that people are at home because they're ordering at lunch. Like we open at 11. Normally we don't get orders till like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. But I've seen a change on certain days where the guys are ordering at like almost 11, 12 o'clock, like a lunchtime. And it's proper meals. And so we have seen that, especially on the Mr. Delivery side, not so much in the walk-in clients. So that's definitely something that I have noticed. And I think in the industry that I think has suffered with this work from home is the guys like the Wimpies and the coffee shops. Because a lot of guys used to meet up at a coffee shop before they went to the office and have a cup of coffee and a muffin or breakfast or whatever. Because I did chat to some of the guys from competitors who are in the breakfast market, and they said they have felt the difference. I don't think there'll be much change on the supper side of things. The guys they'll just order as per normal. But like I said, definitely like between the 11 to 3 market, on certain days there is a bit of an upward movement.
Interesting. Yaku, from your side, what trends have you seen, and what pivots are possible in that area?
Also think of the island days and Ziggy's beachfront. We've always had quite a big portion of our clientele was students. Still is. we definitely have, it's a lot of students gone back home over this period, a lot of doing homeschooling. And where your students used to go out late nights, curfews completely stopped that. You do have students for the last 2-3 years that pop in for lunchtime in between classes. Now, obviously, classes suspended, you don't see that type of thing. Difficult to say how long that would last, or if it's going to change, or students going to go more homeschooling type of vibe with their laptops. Then, yeah, takeaways. We've Beach Newton Park branch definitely doing a lot more takeaways, curbside that. We're looking into doing all your delivery guys and that. We've actually got the application forms there. Just a little bit of a, because of Newton Park's running a lot smaller staff than the beachfront. So when you go to that smaller shop and you've got a busy sit-down meal, we just need to get logistics sorted out of, are we going to do takeaways or delivery companies phoning you that time? And you only have a certain time to respond to that. I know what's worked well for us was personal WhatsApps, with customers just sending a WhatsApp. This is the order I want, picking it up at 5 o'clock, which is a big part of our business now, which hasn't been before. And on the beachfront, we're doing room deliveries now, which is great from the hotel side, also from the resort, helping us out with that, where customers just call us and we just take the meals right to their chalets, and at least it's a room service now. Helped a lot.
Thanks for sharing that. So, Future Thrive is a series that influences the integration of the Sustainable Development Goals in business strategy. And the United Nations has defined 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and they cover 3 broad areas: human rights and fair access to basic needs, environmental stewardship, fair and responsible businesses or business practices. These goals are there to ensure that our business practices today don't compromise the ability of future generations to thrive. So tell us a little bit about how Sizzlers and Ziggy's gives back to the environment and to society while managing your own profit and people objectives. Nayan?
Basically, what we do is, like, all our used oils and stuff, we give it to a company. We actually give it to them on a monthly basis. They come and pick it up and they recycle that oil and they use it for bioelectricity, or I'm not really sure how it works. I didn't go into much detail. So we don't just throw it away into the dump or whatever. We actually give it to someone who does something with it. And also we try, obviously, with water, we've got our water meters and stuff in place, make sure we don't waste too much water. And those kind of things helps. And we also give back the community, like we did to the kids in the area. We sort them out. Whenever they come to the shop, we give them something to eat. We don't give them money because it doesn't help. We just give them something to eat or something to drink. And yeah, we try to keep we all use biodegradable plastic packets. It also helps the environment. And at this stage, that's about all that we can do. If there's anything else that comes up, we will definitely look into it. But we don't really have much waste, as we spoke earlier.
Okay, thanks. So Sizzlers, you're talking about recycling around giving food to those who can't afford it, right? Yaku, what about yourself?
Yes, from Ziggy's, obviously, we also very involved with recycling. I think all restaurants has to be. It's just part of saving the future life. Fine Lodge Resorts got a recycling company that we have to, obviously, with glassware, boxes, plastic ware needs to all be different recycling bins. We also did the biodegradable straws, which I think they disintegrates within like 5 days if you put it in the ground. We help out, obviously, with all the oil. Same thing with the oil that goes to, you have to recycle that oil. You have to make sure that you use great products. We've actually got a Sunny Hands in our bathrooms at the moment. You're actually sanitizing your hands in the bathrooms, not using water. And which we, like, some people would be like, oh, I want to wash my hands. And then we had a lot of positive feedback from them. Guys said, what? That's a great thing. You should have every time you open a tap, you're wasting water. Also to communities, we're trying to help some of the local fighters. We're sponsoring 2 of the local fighters, and both guys from one of them is from KwaZulu, from a really tough background, and this guy's just shined, and he's excellent. He's won world championships and grown amazingly, and very proud to be part of that journey.
Thanks, Jaco. And I just want to read a comment that came across on Ziggy's. Amor Taliot was saying, I will support this place, being Ziggy's, because during the lockdown, they supported their customers with our needs. And similar comment came through from the Mission Vale Care Center for Sizzlers, who donated some food to the children at the care center. So really, that's fantastic work from Ziggy's and Sizzlers. Gents, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. And this is a particularly difficult weekend for you to give up your time, like I said, because South Africa has just reopened beach access and back at the restaurants in full swing. So I really do appreciate your time, and also for generously sharing your insights. So those decision makers, aspirant restaurateurs, I hope you took away from this conversation and how you managing your businesses, i.e. thinking ahead, but also taking the environment, the community into account. It's actually quite inspiring. So really, thank you very much. To those who haven't had the pleasure of coming to taste the Sizzlers or Ziggy's meal yet, Nayan, do you want to give them some contact details of where they can find more information on Sizzlers, and also where in Port Elizabeth you are physically located?
Yeah, we located up in Linton Grange. That's 539 Cape Road. It's next to in between the Midas and the Medicross. There is ample parking. Just be careful of the potholes. As a rule of thumb, if you see the long radio tower on your left-hand side, if you look across, you'll see us somewhere over there. And yeah, we serve, we've got ribs, we've got some flame grilled chicken. All our sauces are homemade. Everything is, got a secret touch to it. And we were welcome to see you. You can check us on Facebook. We're also on Google. We're all over the place. So we've got a WhatsApp number, we've got a Telegram number, we're on Signal. So you're welcome. I hope to see all of you guys there soon. And yeah, let's make us grow and grow together.
Nayan, can you give out your Signal, WhatsApp, and Telegram number?
Yeah, it's 065 821 3797. Yeah, all platforms welcome. And obviously, like I said, we're on Facebook as well. It's Sizzlers PE, ribs, chicken, and fish.
And what would be your suggestion on your menu?
That's pretty easy. I think the ribs dominates my menu at the moment. That's what we're known for. That's our secret. That's our signature meal. And the fish is not far behind, as well as the chicken. And obviously, everybody loves slop chips. We've got the traditional fresh potato slop chips. And yeah, come pay us a visit. We'll serve you well.
Thanks, Nayan. Thanks very much. Jaco, where can we find Ziggy's, and your contact details, please, and also the pick of your menu?
Yeah, so Ziggy's PE on Facebook. You can just go Ziggy's R&R Bar, or we got Ziggy's Old School. You can phone us on our landline 041 583 3789, or if you want a WhatsApp, you can either my cell phone number is 084 585 9883, or Ryan's number is 079 640 7669. You can send us a WhatsApp, we reply from there. And yeah, so obviously Facebook, WhatsApp, we're on there. Recommendations, Old School, definitely pizzas, great wood-fired pizzas at a really good price. I mean, under 100 Rand, from 70 to 90 Rand, you're getting a really good deal with fresh items on it. We don't use canned items. We all fresh product. Ziggy's R&R bar, seafood is amazing. Calamari, their egg, you can never go wrong with that.
Yes, well, I will suggest that the fish on order at both Sizzlers and at Ziggy's. I really enjoy it. Listeners, thank you very much for joining us live on the Sunday afternoon. And if you are listening to the recording, thank you to you too. We really appreciate your time and you supporting our SMEs. Please like and share our video so that more people can hear about Sizzlers and Ziggy's. Leave your comment to share your thoughts and also subscribe to the Stratistute Strat Connect channel to stay posted on our future videos. I'd also like to thank Theo Camberos at IT Tech, our trusted IT guy, for helping us with our webinar today. Theo also helps us with our day-to-day IT requirements. So if you are in need for IT services, please email us at admin@stratistute.co.za and we'll connect you directly with Theo. We'll see you again on 10th February, that's this Wednesday, when we'll be talking leadership and responsible marketing at 1 p.m. Remember that as a society, we are always stronger together. So lift others as you rise, and sustainably we shall thrive. Thank you and have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.